Hi, Eddie Matthews from the Stratford and District Chamber of Commerce. You know, the municipal election is coming up. Goodness, we're less than a month away. It's October 24th. You can vote for mayor, for council, and for school trustees. And we wanted to introduce you to the candidates for school trustees. And joining me today is a guy, and many know him just because his band is truly one of the great bands around, Upside of Navy. But we're looking at a more serious side of Michael Bannerman, who joins me. Hello, my friend.
Hey, thanks for doing this, Eddie. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, it's great to talk to you, and I think you're perfect for this, you know, and for a board trustee because you're even when you're on stage, you're very engaging. So I hope I can mention that to people. But I just wanted to ask you first off, like I've asked all the other candidates, what is it that makes you want to run for a board trustee?
There's a couple of things. First of all, I am really passionate about public education, and so I've worked for 20 years in mental health. Before that, for about 5 years, I did a lot of social work programs with economically challenged families and stuff. And during that time, what I realized as I'm running these food banks and life skill programs and stuff is that it's generations of families that would be coming in, right, with the same issues, and there'd be a cycle. And I realized really quickly that the way out of that cycle for a lot of families and for a lot of kids, it's education. It's opportunity to learn and to experience, class trips, going to Europe, getting excited about something, having somebody tell you, hey, you know what, you're really good at this, you got a skill, here's a book, here's a video, here's how to improve on that, and here's the opportunity to use it. And so I'm passionate about public education because I've seen it make a real difference in the life of a kid, and ultimately break that generational thing that we see. So there's that part of it. I've got 4 kids of my own. The oldest went off to university this year, so I've dealt with the whole empty nest syndrome. So I've got a little more time. So hey, I can put that towards being a public trustee. Yeah, I've had 4 kids go through. They're very different types of learners, different experiences, different stuff that they're passionate about. So the first reason I'm running is I'm really passionate about this. I want to be a public school board trustee. This isn't a stepping stone for mayor or, to launch the band's latest single or something. It really is about doing this job and doing it well. And then the other part of it is I have experience. And so I had a lot of people who had been on the board who weren't running again, and they came and they said, you know what, there's not a lot. I think COVID was tough on everybody. And so they came and said, there's not a lot of experience on the board this time around. Would you consider putting your name forward? And yeah, I have done the job before. 2010 to 2014, I was a school board trustee. And so I know I can do the job. And my record, if people want to look at it, I showed up for every meeting. I did my homework, knew what I was talking about. Wasn't afraid of having those difficult conversations and asking the tough questions. Yeah, so those are kind of my reasons. I'm passionate and I'm experienced, and
Yeah.
I think it's needed right now.
Well, you talk about asking the tough questions. I'm sure if you talk to a bunch of people and you said you're running for school board trustee, they may not know exactly what a school board trustee does. What would you like to accomplish as a school trustee, and what do you see? Are you a liaison between the school and the parent, or to the student, to the teachers? What is it?
So, wow, there's a lot in there. So if I unpack that a little bit, for me, like, there are definitely some things that I want to do. First of all, let me say, I think our board is actually really good, really good. We've got great teachers, we've got great support staff, we've got some excellent people in our board. I think, yeah, they're tired, they're burnt out with COVID. There's some morale stuff like everywhere right now, and staffing issues. But overall, we got a great board and a great thing going. So part of me, I just want to keep that going. I want to build on those sorts of things. I'm not a real single issue person, and I would kind of warn people or challenge people to watch out for people who are running for trustee who it's a one issue thing, because the job really isn't about one issue. It is about, and as you say, that liaison, that bridge. I really see myself as the voice of Stratford at that table. I come and if you've got a concern, I want to be the guy you call. Whether it's something small that's just dealing with your child, or whether it's something larger, whether it's something you don't like about curriculum, or call me. And I will be that voice. I will take that forward to our board and say, hey, here's what people in Stratford are concerned about. Here's what they're thinking about. Likewise, I also am that bridge backward. I communicate word back to the city of Stratford. Here's what the board's thinking about. Here's what they want to do. What do you think about that? Right? Looking for feedback. If you just have questions, how does this work? Where do I go with it? That was me as a parent all the time, right? I don't know who to talk to. So that sort of stuff. And then the third part of that bridge is we're also the voice to the government, to the province, right? As a school board, we can go to the government and say, hey, we're not real keen on this, the way this is coming down, or, you know, that sort of stuff. But we also have to work with them for financing and for payment. So you want that to be a collaborative working relationship, not one where you're constantly getting in their face with stuff. So
yeah. Well, you've done the job before, and do you think there's enough money involved with what the trustees do in this area? You know, do you feel the budget process adequately addresses the need of the classroom in this area?
You know what? I mean, I think there's always can always use more money, right? So I think though there is a lot of money there. And so as a trustee, my job really is to make sure that it's spent well, that if we're doing a program that it's working. So I was talking about some things that I'm really keen on. I think our board has a great environmental approach, right? Everything that it does, the environment is one of the questions that we ask. As a trustee, I want to make sure that that's not just a buzzword that we throw around, that when we do tenders, we're really saying, you know, where are the products coming from? Is this environmentally friendly? Is there a better way of doing this for the environment? The other thing that I'm starting to see as a trustee that worries me a little bit is we're seeing user fees kind of sneak into our school system. For example, my daughter, to play basketball on the school team, $180 this year. That might not seem like a lot of money to some people, but again, for some of those families that I worked with, that's a lot of money. And again, if you have 2-3 kids, you're looking at, you know, $600-800 for them to participate in these sorts of things. A school trip is now $3,000 or $4,000. Yes, the school has money to subsidize kids to go on those. They still have to ask for it. They have to put their name forward. And to be honest, a lot of those kids they just don't try out, or they don't put the name forward. So I really want to look at that sort of stuff and say, how do we get those kids that are challenged economically to really benefit from those opportunities? Yeah.
Well, then how do you determine if what the board is doing is in fact helping rather than being detrimental?
Well, that's the thing. For me, I don't have all the answers, right? And that's the first thing. It's important to always know what you don't know. So for me, I go to the community. I talk to people. I go to those families and say, hey, did your kid want to play basketball? Why or why not did they not sign up? What would it take? What would work for you? Same with some of the other minority groups we work with, LGBTQT plus community, right? The Indigenous community, people of color, those sorts of communities. I don't fully understand those situations. So it's important to me that I listen, right? I love that saying, right? You got 2 ears in one mouth, listen twice as much as you talk. So I go to those communities and I say, what's important to you, right?
Yeah.
What do you need? What are you experiencing? And then again, I'm that voice. I take that forward. I get them to come and present at board meetings. So I think you test what the board's doing by talking to the consumers, really, which is the parents and the grandparents and the communities and the kids.
Well, last question for you then. What would you bring to the table if elected?
So experience is the biggest thing. And I hope customer service. Above all else, I really, really strive to be that person that you can call when you have issues with the school board or with your stuff going on in class. And don't get me wrong, I'm a trustee. I know I got to stay in my lane. I'm not going in to chew out a principal because you have issues with them or a teacher. But I will get you connected with the right people and we'll have the right conversations. And that's the big thing. I will be there for you. And I think the thing is, I'm going around knocking on doors right now, and I run about 5,000 doors. And for most people, the answer is, hey, you know what? I don't really have any concerns with the school system, and I don't know much about it, and I don't have any issues. And that's great. And that speaks a lot to how great the system is. Having said that, we don't really know what the next issue is, right? 3 years ago, we didn't know what COVID was, right?
Yeah.
And so the day comes where we have an outbreak, where we have your kid comes home and they're being bullied or they're struggling with a situation. I want to be that phone call that you make, and you've got somebody in your corner for you that's going to go to bat for you and make sure that the right people are involved.
We hope we get people out and when they see the name, They'll think of you. Michael
I
Bannerman.
really appreciate that. Thank you, Eddie, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for doing this.
Great to talk to you. I'm Eddie Matthews from the Stratford and District Chamber of Commerce.
Thanks.